We're pleased with the way the public has really re-engaged in coming into the facilities. You know, for a couple months now, we've just had our green spaces open and our trail systems and our hiking trails and biking trails. So we slowly, have implemented our plan.
Welcome to Insider, the official podcast for the city of Murfreesboro. I'm Mike Browning. Our topic, reopening Murfreesboro Parks facilities amid COVID-19. Our guest is Nate Williams, the director of Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation Department. Mr. Williams, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Mike, thanks for the opportunity.
The parks began reopening, I should say, on Monday, May 4th, and that included some indoor play at Adams Tennis Complex. SportsCom, Patterson Park, and McFadden began opening under a structured program. So how has that process been going?
You know, it's been a really good process. We're pleased with the way the public has really re-engaged in coming into the facilities. You know, for a couple months now, we've just had our green spaces open and our trail systems and our hiking trails and biking trails. So we slowly, have implemented our plan. And I can't say enough about our staff. Our leadership team and our operations team and programming team have really come together over the past month to say, what is it going to look like when we reopen? We don't know when, but what is it going to look like? And I'm pleased with the cleanliness of the facilities, the plans that are in place, and the things that have been done to welcome people back to facilities they're used to visiting multiple times a week in a lot of cases. And it's just nice to have, them back in the facilities with staff who are there to greet them.
What safeguards have you implemented?
So we've done several things. Each one of our facilities, from SportsCom, Patterson Park, McFadden, the Adams Tennis Complex, even some of our smaller facilities like Cannonsburg, Bradley Academy Museum, and the Wilderness Station, all of those facilities have created a physical distancing plan, and we've reviewed those over and over again. But there's different, based on each facility, what those included. But some just general things that we've done is we've increased the amount of personal hygiene opportunities that we have. We've made some logoed little place steps where people can know where to stand if there's a line. We've also built some plexiglass shields for people at point of sale areas where they can feel comfortable behind a barrier, and it's just a reminder for everybody to just kind of give some space. So those are some of the things. Our staff have the opportunity to wear masks and gloves as well. And then other things that we've done in the areas, like we moved all of our exercise classes to the gyms, and we made them like in 10 by 10 cubes instead of the smaller exercise rooms. And then we've spread out our weight room in our cardio areas to where those machines are either, one on, one off, and one on, one off, or we've spaced them out. If you go to Patterson and SportsCom, you can see we're utilizing the meeting rooms. So we've moved some of the cardio equipment in the meeting room so people can have at least, 10 foot on each side to be able to enjoy the cardio equipment.
You've had a couple days now of implementing this. Yeah. That's not a long time, but how confident are you that customers are going to observe these standards?
Yeah, we're very confident. I feel confident that our marketing team has relayed what's open, what's closed, and some of the protective measures that we need for people to, abide by when they come to the facilities. And I think they're doing a great job. I think our staff is doing a great job. I think the biggest message that we're trying to send out right now is that there still is a virus out there that's very contagious. And it's in Murfreesboro. So we want to make sure that people are abiding by CDC guidelines and recommendations. And, if you fit in that vulnerable population, you just need to stay home. We have the St. Clair Senior Center. That's not opening until phase 3 of our plan because it's a large vulnerable population. We don't think we should be opening that center yet. But so the other big thing is, first off, if you're in that vulnerable population, rethink coming. The second thing is if you feel sick, if you're sick, stay home. And I think that's going to go a long way in really keeping everybody safe when they're coming back in these facilities.
SportsCom and Patterson Park both have pools. And obviously there are a lot of people that would like to be in those pools right now, but they're closed. When do you think you might be able to open those? So
our pools will be open in phase 2. I'm sorry, we're in phase 1 of ours right now, but we're getting, and the guidance that we're taking from the state and the federal governments, we believe that the pools, they might not be open to open swim, or we might not be able to open the outdoor pool exactly on time. But we think that we can open those in phase 2 and get people back to where they can swim laps and participate in their exercise class. A lot of people depend on that if they have some joint issues. That's the way they move. So I know a lot of people over the past couple months have missed that aspect of exercise. So we're hoping in phase 2. We don't have a date for phase 2, but that's when people can look forward to coming back and using our pools at Sports Common Patterson.
In opening the facilities, you've had some restrictions, so you've had certain activities that are open and available and other activities that are not.
Mm-hmm.
Did you take a look at the CDC guidelines and then determine based on that what you could open and what you could not?
Yeah, so we're deriving our information from a lot of different places. We've got CDC guidelines, we've got federal recommendations or guidelines, and we also have the state guidelines too. So when we look at areas like a gymnasium, we can open the gym for organized activities, but we can't just crowd a lot of youth in there playing basketball. We can't have a gym full of people playing basketball too, just adults, because it's it's a contact sport. By nature, there's a lot of touching. So what we did say is we can use the gyms for exercise classes. We can also use them for pickleball and stuff like that, where people can still stay active. But in phase 2, we'll start reopening to those areas to, things that people really become accustomed to using them for.
So for an exercise class, the reason why you could open those, I assume, is that you have social distancing observed. People can still exercise as long as there's some separation.
Yeah, if we can get people apart, and that's been the goal of the whole thing, is get spacing in between people, and then they can enjoy those areas like they always have, but just a little bit further apart.
Now, one of the things that people really look forward to, and especially parents, of course, are the summer camps during the summertime, and they're probably wanting to register for those already. What is being done about summer camp?
We're working on that. We've come up with a couple of different contingency plans. We're working, coming up with that. Hopefully next Monday will really be a catalyst in where we go with summer camps. We're looking at all the different options, and we're also, like we said from the very beginning, using guidelines from the CDC, state government, and federal government about what can we include with these. So again, our staff is coming through big time. They're looking up different options for how we can redo camps and make them as good as we can for the kids and the families.
Do your national associations or organizations provide guidance on that?
We have a great state association. We share ideas with each other. Everybody's really in this together. So we communicate weekly with members of our state organization. And the National Recreation and Parks Association as well does a great job putting out guidelines and recommendations that we can use. We like to think, we're try to set trends in the industry, especially in the state of Tennessee. So I can't say enough about our staff and how they've scoured the market, looked at ideas, and come up with just great ideas on how to get people back in these facilities and back in these programs and do it well.
Well, the Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation Department has been recognized on an annual basis for the quality of their programs. You're always one of the top awarded, if not the top awarded city for that. The greenways are recognized, for example, as being quite an amenity here in Murfreesboro, and people have taken advantage of those because they've had more time off now, and we're seeing some people that have come in that didn't even know they existed or hadn't taken advantage of them for a long time.
Yeah, I agree with you. We see people using them. We see all of our trailheads as crowded as they can be, and I've told our leadership team, as we've been preparing for the past few weeks, of what it looks like to, get people back in the parks. A lot of people have experienced the greenway or an open space or a hiking trail in a way they've never experienced. They had no clue that we had that. So, the analogy that I've used and our leadership team has really disseminated throughout the park system is that, if it's a curtain, people have seen just a touch, or they understand now just a little bit. So what we've got to do now, it's incumbent on us to take the curtain and kind of slowly and responsibly open it up so people can jump back in and see what the city has to offer from a whole Parks and Recreation, department, from our facilities, our natural spaces, our programs, our athletics, our heritage programs, our cultural programs. There's a lot of things, along with a lot of rental facilities and great amenities. So a lot of people are just now starting to experience what Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation has to offer from just a small lens, and we're excited to show the whole thing and really hopefully set a trend and do it the most responsible way we can and keep people as safe as possible within those facilities.
So has this pandemic, the crisis, maybe caused you to reorient some of your thinking in the way that you either market or provide programs in the greenways?
I think so. We've noticed there's a lot of people who are getting getting bikes, getting into running and walking. My whole kind of mantra in my position is, I think it's our responsibility to help people discover a passion that will lead towards lifelong wellness. So we have to provide as much as we can to show people, because we have an inherent belief that passion leads to purpose. So we want to get as many things out there that people can, jump into, and hopefully they continue their whole life, be it tennis, be it walking, be it running or mountain biking or playing softball, any of those things. So, I think a lot of people have really seen the need just to move, so they want to get out, they want to go walk at Barfield on the paved trails or the hiking trails, and we're hearing a lot of that. People are starting to hike, and they want to look for more places to hike. They start at Barfield, and then they call us for recommendations on state parks that they can go hike or different waterfalls, and that's great. So that's where we're very pleased with that. We just want to, in this time, make sure we can give people a whole view of what we have to offer in a responsible way, and hopefully that just triggers something in them and just makes them see really how livable Murfreesboro is as well.
Well, we all need open spaces, especially as confined as we've been and isolated in our homes. So people obviously are eager to get out and do that when they have extra time. One of the other amenities or activities, I should say, that people want to take advantage of are ball fields, because they're a place where people have become accustomed to doing baseball and soccer and softball. So what are you having to say to those people right now when that is limited?
Yeah, we've addressed this in our phase plan, our three-phase plan, and I know people are missing it. Their kids are missing it. Their teams, that interaction that they need and that they want is missing right now. But this is based off of state guidance along with federal guidelines that we can't host any organized youth activities right now. So whenever we get to phase 2, and we will make it abundantly clear when we're there. We're already talking to our leagues to make sure they understand what it's going to look like when we get there. But phase 2 will allow for leagues to continue and games to play. It might be modified just a little bit, but phase 2 won't include any out-of-town tournaments. So that we won't have as much travel as normally would happen throughout the spring and summer. But we can get our local kids back to playing ball. And like I said, if we can all do our part, hopefully it's sooner rather than later.
So you're fairly confident then, even though nothing is completely confident in the situation we're in, but this situation is not going to be permanent throughout the summer, we hope.
We hope, yeah, that's our goal. A lot of people want to get back to, one of their big things they like to do in the summer is come to Burrow Beach and swim. A lot of things that they like to do is to play ball and to go on Saturday mornings. And, something we're missing now, and it's unfortunate, one of our most popular things we do, and I would say one of the best things that we provide is the Miracle League at the Miracle Field. And we've had to just postpone that just for a lot of reasons. But, it's a shame, but we'll pick back up, and we're going to do some things for our participants of that league that will engage them very soon. We've seen our staff has done a really good job trying to stay engaged, from doing, Facebook exercise classes to education, to animal encounters, and then some instruction for some of our athletes on how to stay ready and stay engaged with getting ready to come back to play.
So you've had to move, as so many people have, all organizations across the country move to online servicing and, like you said, fitness classes. How is that going, and to what extent are people participating in that kind of activity?
We've seen a tremendous response, and I think that goes back to our staff, the creativity of our staff and the adaptability of our staff. It's made us, I think, where we can streamline some efficiencies that we never thought we could. But they've done a great job, and we've seen some of these videos get thousands of views, and people, even within our organization, City of Murfreesboro, have talked about some of the classes they like to participate in. So, we've had to adjust on the fly. When this all was kind of coming to a head 4 or 5 weeks ago, we started trying to gear down our facilities. Information was changing by the hour, and seemed like every second there was something new and something else we had to check off the list. And I've said it a ton, but from our operations staff all the way down, we were able to shut down the facilities accordingly, and now we're to the point where, thankfully, we're able to start getting those going again, and it's a pleasant sight to see.
The Senior Center is also under your jurisdiction. That you've alluded to already is closed for good reason. I mean, the vulnerable population. What are you anticipating in terms of the many programs that you offer within the Senior Center?
Once we can get back open, the Senior Center will be phase 3 within our plan. I think once we get back going, we'll see just a ton of warm, welcoming smiles that we're excited to see. We're still doing some classes through Facebook. Our leadership, our superintendent out there, Mark Owens, has had his team reaching out to our patrons. They give them well calls and check on them and make sure they have what they need. And if they need something, that we're getting them pointed in the right direction to make sure we're keeping them engaged. But I think this whole pandemic that we've gone through has really highlighted the need that we have for social interaction. I think people are missing that. So it's something we don't take lightly, and hopefully when we get back to it, it's such a big part of what we do. At SportsCom right now, you can always go have a good workout and a cup of coffee and have a good discussion with somebody. Right now we can't have coffee, but we're starting to get that going again. We're looking forward to the day when we can just keep everybody engaged with what they're used to and what they're accustomed to.
Do you have specific advice or suggestions for your patrons, particularly those maybe that haven't returned yet, before they go, so they can kind of prepare ahead of time on what they should expect?
Yeah, I think if people come to SportsCom or Patterson, any facility that we have right now, they should expect to see a very clean facility. We've made that a high priority. And we're expecting people to do their part if they go into a gym to make sure they're cleaning up and doing the things that they need to, and then encouraged to wash their hands and hand sanitize. The biggest thing is if somebody's in that vulnerable population, we would really recommend they not come to our facilities. And then also if they're sick, they need to stay home. What we've done is we were closed for about a month and a half, and we're extending everybody who had yearly or monthly passes an extra 2 months because we missed it. And then we're dealing with situations on a case-by-case basis for those who might have missed time. So, I think people should, when they come back, expect the same brand of whatever facility that they have that's a representation of Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation in the safest way we can.
Nate, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Mike.
We've been speaking with Nate Williams, Director of Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation Department. Check out our podcast on Podbean and now on Spotify. For more information on the City of Murfreesboro, visit www.murfreesborotn.gov. You've been listening to Insider, the official podcast for the City of Murfreesboro. Until next time, I'm Mike Browning. Thanks for joining us.